Okay, so let's get this painting started. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna mix some yellow and white, mostly white, just with a little bit of yellow. And you're gonna grab a little bit of water with your brush and you're gonna create this C shape across your canvas. So you're gonna start more or less from the top, more about to the right from the center point of your canvas, and you're gonna use that as your measurement of where you're gonna start your C shape. So you want to do this all across, and then so to be able to move the paint easily, you can use a little bit of water. So you should have a little cup of water where you can dip your paint, where you can dip your brush to keep moving it out. So yeah, just move it around like that. And then with your finger, you can smoothen out the edges. So acrylic paint dries really fast. So your finger is actually a great tool because it's going to help you blend in some of the parts that get like all those lines that happen. This medium just dries so fast, so you want to make sure you keep your finger handy so you can keep smoothing it out. Okay, once you have your C shape all drawn out, it's almost like a wave coming from the top, going all the way to the right corner. You're gonna get some red. Make sure you clean your brush. So to clean your brush, you're gonna go in your cup, you're gonna rinse it off, and then wipe it down. This time you're gonna use a little bit less water, more paint, and you're gonna start from the bottom corner with the red, and you're gonna bring it up. Make sure you don't lose all the yellow, so you're gonna leave a little sleeve like that. Do you see that kind of coming from top to bottom of the yellow? And then the rest is gonna be red. And again, make sure as you're doing this, use your finger to get rid of any of the hard edges. And yeah, just simply, you're just gonna cover the whole bottom in red. And you can use any direction. You can go up and down, left and right. So you wanna have a little bit of texture. So, but at the same time, where the colors meet, you wanna have a nice smooth edge. So just continue doing this for a little while. Create a little bit of texture, smoothen out your paint. Make sure you don't get rid of all your yellow. In case you get rid of all your yellow, it's not a big deal. Once it dries, you can always go back and add a little bit more on top. So that's the nice thing about acrylic paint. You can always come back once it dries, and it dries really fast, so you can just come back and add more paint. Right here, I'm adding a little bit more yellow with some white mixed into it, so it's easily you can easily cover that red edge. And then so you're gonna continue doing this, and again, leave a little bit of texture. These paintings do look better from a distance, so it's good to step away a little bit and check out your painting to see how it's looking. You can pause the video at any time, so you can continue on your own. And again, go back with my finger just to smoothen it out. Okay, so after you're done with your red and your yellow, the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna clean your brush. So to clean your brush, you wanna go in your bucket and you're gonna press your brush all the way to the bottom in the water. And then you're gonna notice the water gets really dirty, but it's fine, you know. Just make sure you get rid of any little chunks of paint from your brush before you grab the other paint. With this one, we're not gonna use too much water, so make sure you shake out your water and then maybe dab it down a little bit on your napkin. And then you're gonna start your blue from the bottom of the canvas, like of the swoosh, and then you're gonna bring it up. And you're gonna cover it like this. So yeah, we're using a little bit of water just to smoothen it out, but and stretch out the paint. So one of the tricks that I like to show people is like keep moving your brush until you have no more paint on it before you go back and grab more, you know. So you kind of stretch that canvas, and this way you can get all these different layers, like thin, medium, dark, you know. And kind of before, like I did with the other paint, I'm using my finger to smoothen out the edges. You just get down to this little corner. You can overlap that red a little bit, and you'll notice when you overlap the red, it's gonna create this kind of like darker, almost purplish color. So I'm gonna continue building the darkness of the blue just by overlapping a little bit more on top of it. So the idea is we're gonna have like some sort of gradient. So it's gonna go from light to dark, you know. So it's gonna be the lightest at the edge of the center white part, and the darkest at the edge of the canvas. So it's go from light to dark. From the center, it's gonna smoothen out into darkness. So you can, if you want, you can cover out your edges, and this is nice if you want to hang out your painting, you know. So you can just, any color that touches the edge, you can cover it up. Yeah, and I'm just gonna continue adding a little bit of texture. You'll notice when the blue overlaps the yellow, then it turns a little bit green, you know. So that's the kind of stuff we want to do, you know. So the paint is a little bit transparent, so it starts to create this like different colors depending where you put them on, you know. Next, I'm gonna smoothen out the edge from the white to the blue. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix some blue and white. So what you wanna do is maybe just wipe your brush, wipe the excess blue on it, and then start with a little bit of white, and then put a little bit of blue into it. So we're going to create a really light blue, and we're just going to put it where the edge of the blue meets the white. And we're going to stretch it in a little bit, not too much into the white, but more into the blue. You can add a little bit of texture to it. Continue doing this and then blend in the light blue into the white. So again, it should be like a gradient where it goes from the light white into like medium yellow, medium blue into dark blue. So then it starts to look almost like a tunnel funneling in, so dark, medium light, all the way to white. Wipe it off, and I'm gonna just grab white by itself, and then I'm gonna put it more or less in the center there, and just gonna space it on pretty heavy, and I'm gonna break into my yellow, into my red, and I'm gonna be doing the same thing mostly that I did almost with the blue. So I'm gonna blend it into the color, so it's gonna create this very smooth blend. And again, your finger is a great tool when it comes to acrylic painting. So it's gonna smoothen that out and create this really nice blend in between colors. Then now that I did it on the yellow and the red, I'm gonna go back and maybe add a little bit more of that on the top. And then add a little bit on the blue side too. So there should be a very easy transition. What I mean by that is like you don't want to go from, especially with this painting, in the background, we don't want to go from like light to dark right away, because then it creates too much contrast right away and it becomes a little bit stark, so you want to have a nice smooth transition. After this, I'm just gonna continue adding a little bit more texture to my background. I noticed that I lost a lot of my yellow, so I'm just coming back and adding a little bit more. Uh, for this one, I just added straight on the canvas, and then I added white on top of that to mix it in. So you can do it that way, or you can pre-mix it. Either way works great. But the idea is like you wanna have yellow, then red. It's almost like an orangey. Once you overlap the yellow over the red, it becomes kind of orangey. So, but you want to have this nice transition of colors. So spend a little bit of time going back and forth, and you can definitely poke around, create some texture, add a little bit of layers, just to make the whole background a little bit more interesting. It doesn't have to be too blended. The only thing we're worrying about blending is the edges, so we want to make sure those edges are not hard, so it's almost like a cloudy kind of like feeling to it. Okay, once I'm happy with my background, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix some black. To make black, all you need to do is mix all the colors. So you start with a base of blue, and then to the blue you're gonna add a little bit of red, and to the blue and red you can add a little bit of yellow, and it's gonna create this really dark color. It's gonna look almost brown on your palette, but once you apply it on the canvas, it's gonna look basically black. So make sure you get that mixture. To get it a little bit darker, add a little bit more blue if you have to, or a little bit more red. What's gonna lighten it up is gonna be yellow. But essentially, it's like putting all these colors together is gonna just create the absence of light. So when you apply it on the canvas, it's gonna look basically black. So then you're gonna put it on the corners here, and you can kind of see on the finished painting how it looks. For this painting, I'm using a little bit of different colors than the original I did there. Instead of using the phthalo blue, which is a little bit more greenish on the first one, I added this ultramarine blue, which is a little bit more purpley, which I actually like a lot more for this one. But yeah, just add it on the corners. So start heavy and then kind of start separating the paint as you go upwards, into the corners as you come into the canvas. And then do the same thing, where you use your finger to smoothen out some really hard edges. And this way you'll have this cloudy feeling throughout the painting. So continue doing that on the bottom edge too. You can do it on the left edge, on the corners. And I'm just doing this short little brushes, and I'm keeping it heavier at the corner. And then it's a little bit less and a little bit less as it gets into the color. And then just a little bit on the right upper corner. Let's continue doing this. Once you get this on, if you lost a lot of the color or if it looks too dark, what you can do is just wipe your brush off, maybe just rinse it off, and then come back with the color on top. Yeah, so continue to add a little bit more color. So now spend a little bit of time on your background. You can go anywhere you want. You don't have to stay just with one color or the other. Just clean in between, going from like the blue into the reds and yellows. But this spend a little bit of time just adding a little bit more texture and just create some interesting background. Uh, just it's kind of like the same format, same layer, same layout, just with a little bit more flair to it. You want to make it interesting. You want to add little details here and there. You can even switch to your little brush, and you can just poke it around. Just grab a little bit of paint at a time, add a little bit of dots, and then smoothen it out with your finger. And this is gonna create a really nice texture. That's gonna make the painting look really nice. Okay, once you're done working with your background, we're gonna go ahead and our tree. Our tree is gonna be black. If you don't have black on your palette, pre-mix some, and then to make it even darker, you can add a little bit of brown. Brown and blue make a really dark color, almost basically black. And your tree is gonna start in the bottom, just kind of like a little bit right to the center point. And then you're gonna start with the big brush, and you're gonna go from bottom to top, to the right corner, to the left corner, in one smooth motion. So lines, to make a line is all about the pressure. So you want to start with a little bit of pressure with your brush, holding it sideways, and then you're gonna do this curvy line. So it's gonna curve at around a little bit over half the canvas. So you start on the bottom half to the right, like center to the right, and then it curves more or less. When you're going upwards, it's gonna start curving a little bit higher than the half point of the canvas. And then you're gonna fill in. So you can kind of shape up your tree a little bit. Take your time with this step, since it's like the most noticeable. main part of the composition. You can go back and smoothen out your lines if you have to. Yeah, keep using the big brush for the big trunk. But once you get ready for the details, we're going to use the other brush. Make sure you clean your brush before, clean it, rinse it off, leave it on the side, and then you can switch to the little round brush. So one thing about this painting is that there's a lot of hearts getting shaped on the branches. So you just keep that in mind when you're doing this. So using that little brush, you're gonna create big heart shapes everywhere, So there's this one that starts here and then curls around. And then this one on the other side like that, and it curves around too. So all these heart shapes everywhere. So there's a lot of heart shapes and a lot of little curls, and to do that, you want to just press really lightly, and then curl your brush. It's the motion is kind of like a little bit of touch and slide. The more you press down your brush into the canvas, the bigger those lines are gonna get, even with this small brush. So you just want to touch and then slide. And you can start your curls. You can go from the branch out, or you can go from the curl in. And that's gonna be the way you can keep building these curlies. Yeah, so do them all over the place. One of the main ones is this heart shape that is on the top here. And that's just, again, find the place on your branch where you think it can split up, and then do that little curl. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just continue to detail and keep adding curls, keep adding. Yeah, and you can just continue to detail and add little curls and little branches. Um, yeah, thanks for watching and hope you enjoy this video. And till next time.